welcome to Locana Lounge. I'm your host, Jen Campbell, supporting innovation and product growth here at Locana. I'm joined today by Todd Slind, Vice President of Technology here at Locana. We're here to talk about how combining AI and machine learning with location intelligence can have a huge impact on the efficiency of companies' operations. Now, AI is a hot topic in the market right now. And Todd, one of the things that I read in one of your articles was, unlike technology of the past, we're not crawling towards this new technology or moving slowly with it. It feels a lot more like a sprint. And what I'm observing is it kind of sets up the market for a confusing environment because it's going so fast and it's hard to know where companies can really expect to see the value of the investment that they want to make in AI, or even where to focus their energies if they're trying to do some of this in-house. And one of my favorite quotes from you, again, from one of your articles, was, AI isn't coming for our jobs. It's coming for the mind-numbing tasks that we wish we could get past to do the more interesting strategic work. And I'm really wondering, Todd, if you could start us off just by expanding on what impact you think that AI can have on project productivity and how industries can really utilize this most effectively.
Wow. Yeah, thanks for the intro there. That's a big question, and hopefully I'll be a little bit concise in my answer. I kind of share your observation about the excitement around AI. A year and a half ago when ChatGPT dropped, it really was a transformative moment when a lot more people seem to kind of open their minds up to AI and adopting it into their organization's business and figuring out how they could use it to improve how they operate and improve how they provide services to their customers and so forth. But the truth of the matter is that AI in useful form has been around for better part of a decade. And we did our first AI-based project, I think, in 2016, which was building a location inference model to try to determine the location of financial access points in Africa. So we were using social media, I call exhaust, but geotagged posts, check-ins, and things like that to figure out where people were talking about getting cash or having to go into a bank to make deposits and so forth. So there's been a lot of opportunity, but it's been kind of on the fringes and kind of on the periphery of kind of what people would consider kind of their core business or their core IT. And so I think that the combination of the excitement and the quite frankly, the FOMO, the fear of missing out that OpenAI and ChatGPT and those that came quickly after them, that they've kind of brought into the environment. It's really kind of giving us the opportunity to say, yeah, you should definitely start using AI, but there are all these great mature AI and in the machine learning kind of predictive domain that are ready to go. We've got trained models that can add value today, and so I think that while there's this kind of realization that AI is arrived, it's here, we're all going to have to deal with it, and it's got a lot of potential to be transformative in just about everything we do. It's really kind of, allowing us to start conversations that are a little bit more in the, I would call it kind of conservative space in terms of adoption, not on the bleeding edge like generative AI and the large language models that, have probably got about a fair share of, really enthusiastic coverage in the media about what they can do in terms of reducing, efforts and, and really augmenting the labor that we invest these days. But also, there's a lot of scary stuff out there about generative AI and large language models about, losing control of your data or hallucinations or things like that. So, so I think that it's an interesting time where, we want to make sure that we, don't forget that we have this great, kind of set of shelves of ready machine learning models to grab to bring to bear to solve a lot of really high value opportunity, or solve a lot of pain points that represent high value opportunities to use AI, but also, let's help our customers kind of move responsibly into taking advantage of the generative side of things, because um, ultimately, I think that that all organizations are going to want to have both kind of the predictive, which is more the machine learning side of things, and the generative, which is more the large language models, and kind of helping. So one is like kind of the machine learning stuff is kind of like taking away the menial tasks, like I wrote about in the article you
Mm-hmm.
referenced, and then the generative part is kind of taking on some of the intellectual load, like generating ideas, or giving people like a set of options to choose from to kind of start a creative task or process. So I don't know if that's a good answer to your question, but kind of
That's
what sprung to
perfect.
mind. Okay, cool.
Yeah, and I think it's a great teaser, Todd, because I'm really eager to dive a little bit more into your background. It sounds like you've been, dabbling in this technology since the very early origins, and I'm excited to hear more about that background. But also, I'm, kind of what you talked about, how AI has this multifaceted types of offerings, right? So it's not like, I think sometimes, again, it's a buzzword and we can get caught up on, I want AI. Okay, well, what does that really mean? There's a
Yeah.
lot of layers and dimensionality to what customers can think about when they're exploring the options from AI, but also then how to apply it to their business, and having a full suite and a full end-to-end solution, kind of that top level comprehensive strategy and vision is a pretty key part of it. So I'm excited to dive into that with you. But real quick, a little background on me. I've been in the tech world for close to 2 decades. Started my career with Esri, so always kind of had that locational technology lens. Also spent about a decade doing ERP business implementations. And for me, what's been exciting is watching organizations really shift their thinking to a holistic strategy and approach to technology, and bringing that more into their business strategy, and leading to things like having systems that can have a much broader coverage for end-to-end business functions, ultimately leading to reliable systems of record, and where it makes sense, the centralizing of those systems of record. And so, of course, that leads to rich, robust, reliable data that's woven into operations. And all of that foundational work of modernizations that I've been able to kind of watch the industry, um, you know, evolve into, seems to me like the perfect foundation for AI, right? So companies that have gone through that journey have a really nice starting point to adopt AI, especially. And another trend that we're promoting a lot is moving to the cloud and having more cloud computing as much as possible. And I know, Todd, another thing I'm excited to hear from you about is some of the architectural approaches we're thinking about with AI, and how that taps into those modernization, those modern platforms, modern approaches to data, but also modern approaches to infrastructure. So I know that's a big part of the story. But Todd, tell us a little bit more about your background, kind of where you come from, where your passions lie, and how you've kind of aligned your career progression with some of these emerging technologies like AI along the way.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm a trained civil engineer. When I was close to completing my master's degree, I asked my advisor, what is the cutting edge tool that I need to have in my quiver to become kind of hit the professional uh, landscape of employment, with some, really hot and attractive skills. And my advisor said, you got to check out this GIS thing. It's going to become a core tool in, engineering, planning, everything related to infrastructure development, and operating kind of, our whole world essentially. So I was a practicing transportation engineer for a number of years, and then people that have worked in that space know that seeing the results of your work can take 2 to 10 years, because it's a really long process, and rightfully so, to get environmental clearance and the permitting and all those things, and revise the plans and get public engagement to make sure that we're building things that people feel fit into their environments well, and provide the services that they're looking for. So
That's awesome.
I'm a little bit of I need a little bit more immediate gratification. So I pivoted to being more technology focused and doing GIS projects, and then that you have about a 2-year max kind of turnaround before you can kind of see the results of your projects benefiting folks. So once I kind of pivoted to GIS, I expanded my kind of domain of applications beyond transportation, got involved in international development and agriculture and financial services, and helping startups with their location technology needs, and really kind of diversified, and became again more of a technologist looking for ways to work with subject matter experts to apply technology, and less of a subject matter expert in a particular industry myself. So I have over the time realized that what I like about what I work in is I like building teams. I like working with customers to kind of push them out of their comfort zone and adopt new technologies or modernize things beyond kind of the status quo. So I kind of agitate for change, and I really look for opportunities where you either have a new customer that's kind of greenfields and looking to kind of have this massive creative space to kind of design what they're going to do, and do it in a way that's very forward looking. But I also love opportunities when customers are like, dang it, this technology we have in here is 30 years old. We want the benefits of what's new and what's now, and I love to help them kind of chart a path to get there. And with the AI, I think it's just going to be so transformative to our industry. I think we're going to be able to. I mean, so I'm like, as I look into my I don't know, fourth act of my career, this is a great kind of, if I can finish helping customers get the benefits from AI in a safe and responsible and really effective way, then I'm super psyched. So that's a little bit a little bit about where I came from, a little about where I'm looking forward to go in terms of my career.
Yeah. Yeah, that I appreciate the kind of stage setting there, Todd, because I think that, what's interesting is that your nature and your drive for curiosity, and solving problems, helping to think about things from kind of the visionary perspective and solve things the right way using the right technology, and then aligning that also with your passion to just be right in there of what's next. It's all this really nice magic of helping customers to not only have a partner to explore these technologies, but be realistic about the value that they need to get out of it to solve those real business problems. So it's really great to hear a little bit more about that. But stepping back and kind of thinking again about where we're seeing the market trending, right? And this some patterns that you may have been exposed to as you've talked to customers when they're early in their AI journey, if we want to think of it that way. I mean, I think what I've maybe gleaned from some of your thought leadership is that, it might feel overwhelming for customers when they're starting out and they aren't really sure where to start. They're excited about the promise of efficiency gain and improving operations. To your point, leveraging it in just the right way that they're making people's jobs easier and allowing them to get not only greater value from their teams, but their team members are more satisfied with their jobs because they are doing that strategic work, right? There's the excitement of that promise, but again, to your earlier point, it's so multifaceted and there's so much that AI can do. The depth of it might feel a little bit daunting, right? So I'm really curious to hear more about those types of challenges that you're seeing in the space right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, my first comment is that it all starts with data. And, one of the things that people need to think about is, as they contemplate embarking on their AI journey, is how ready are they from a data perspective? Because AI is data intense. It needs data for models to be trained. It needs data to have an understanding of the rich context of a business, and being able to provide intelligent responses if it's a generative AI
Mhm.
solution. And so what we see as the best low-hanging fruit for our customers to get started and not feel overwhelmed is to look at a specific kind of critical data workflow that may not be producing the right level of accuracy. It may be taking too long to cycle. So, if
Mhm.
you've got a key operational data set that would be a lot more valuable if it were refreshed every 2 months instead of every 2 years, that's a great way. That's a great opportunity for us to
Yes.
deploy artificial intelligence, so we can, what we call the kind of this kind of general area of AI and ML application is called intelligent automation. So, where can we find places in the kind of the data value chain to, relieve the analysts who are, doing that kind of work that you know, they need to be doing, because they are the ones who are expert in the technology and understand the subject matter and domain. But if we can, use the robots to help do some of that heavy lifting, then and typically, a robot is 50 times faster than a human in terms of data work,
Yeah,
because
that's
you
right.
can automate a lot of manual processes out of a data workflow. So I think that, if we can, when we start talking to customers, oftentimes, first of all, we can't get started with anything until we understand what their data environment's like, and how ready it is for using with AI models and tools. But if we can identify like a data related pain point, whether it's the data is not current enough, the data is not accurate enough, I don't know if the data is accurate,
Mm.
or
Mhm.
so that's typically how we help folks, kind of start their thinking around it. And
Yeah,
then I
I
guess
yes.
yeah, and one other thing I'll mention is that, you know, what we hope to do with our customers is that we like kind of have a conversation that doesn't immediately kind of dive into one specific use case or one specific solution. We like try to get like a landscape of, what their business is and where AI can and ML can provide some value. And then, what typically organizations do is they create like what's called in AI parlance a use case backlog, so that they know kind of once they've done one, what the next several could be. So,
Mhm.
because once you kind of get going with this stuff, it really kind of, when you see the returns on investment that you can realize, people just get hungry to keep, realizing more and more of that value and keep going, with this intelligent automation that, is going to help them today make processes more efficient. And, as you mentioned, release staff or team members to do higher value work. So instead of like working on data level, like help understand kind of how that gets, value added into knowledge and, insight, so that decisions are better, faster, and all that kind of stuff. So I'm rambling now, so
Yeah, no, it makes
I'll turn it
it makes
back to
perfect
you.
sense.
Yeah.
Well, I think you're highlighting all the right points of what the journey might look like for the customer, right? And I appreciate your point about it starting with data, because this is, in order for these processes to be effective and really work and get intelligent results, you have to have that baseline of reliable data. But you also mentioned the data pipeline, right? Because I think that one of the transformations that I'm seeing in the market is that data is not static. I mean, this stuff changes, and you need to have regular systematic ways of getting new data in. And what's fascinating about AI is that as that data is coming in, you can leverage those tools and those libraries to process what's new, what changed, what intelligence can, like, how have the patterns changed in the environment that would, manually take potentially months or in some cases years to process all of those nuances, and now can happen in the matter of hours or days. And so there again, I think what you're pointing out is, through the AI journey, customers do start to tease out one or two use cases then get excited about that ROI because it is hours and days instead of months or years. That's pretty attractive, right? And so I think the way I was starting to visualize it as you talked about it was kind of a snowball effect where you're a little unsure at the beginning, but the more you kind of dip your toe in the water and see where it can go, it's like it becomes really exciting to keep evolving that. So but your conversation was kind of pointing to the use cases, right? And I'm really eager to know too, Todd, as you've been working with customers through these AI journeys, what are some of the use cases that you've seen bubble up as you've gotten them towards that part of the journey?
Yeah, well, what you were just speaking to reminds me of, the ability that we have to capture new data that had otherwise been prohibitively expensive to collect through a human sensor. We can deploy a machine sensor or, a camera that has it either can have kind of AI embedded in the camera, so you can do the actual kind of data extraction at the edge and then just kind of send back data as it changes in the environment, or you can stream it back into a central location and process it in, kind of a more central mode. And then, one of the things that, one of our core strategies in as we help our customers adopt AI and build out AI solutions is that we're wanting to kind of literally stand on the shoulders of giants. So like the big tech, the Frightful Five, the Magnificent Seven, whatever we calling them these days, they have invested literally billions of dollars into these computer vision models that originally they developed so that they could identify kind of what objects were in your family photos. So if you wanted to,
Yeah.
quickly search for Uncle Doug in in your photo library, the computer or the computer vision processes that were kind of looking through your gallery or your library, photo library in the back end, and tagging, Uncle Doug on this. I mean, we're just essentially taking that exact same technology, and instead of identifying Uncle Doug, we're identifying, a T valve or something, something in the environment that, is likely not in a lot of people's home photos, but the same technology that was used to, pull, pets and toys and
Right.
kids' faces and things out of photos can be used to do all kinds of stuff. So, so anyway, like one of the things that we like to, make sure people realize when they're starting the conversation about, again, embarking on their AI journey is that there's so many tools that are out there that can be readily adapted to their use cases, and a lot of them are open source so that they're at, the getting started with them is no cost. Of course, you've got to build your own specific requirements on top of those, but there is just kind of this great platform out there that doesn't require everyone, build their capability from scratch, and it allows for a lot quicker time to realize value and a lot quicker, obviously implementation time and costs
Right.
associated to it. So
That's
yeah.
yeah, and I think that again, just what I suspect and kind of gotten the sense of in the market is not only the craving to understand those specific use cases that you were kind of touching on, but also have the right partner with the right expertise, right? That knows about those tool sets, like you just mentioned that platform, Todd, where you don't have to start from scratch. You don't have to
Yeah.
build some custom, one-off technology to wire together and then hire your own data scientists to come in and build the models for you. Being able to understand what tools are out there today, where the trends are going, how to piece that together can be so much more efficient when companies engage a partner that has that level of expertise. But riffing a little bit more on the tool that you kind of teased out there, are there other tools that you're particularly excited or jazzed about in the market right now that you'd like to share? And specifically, like if those that you think are really, you know, bringing high value to customer situations.
Well, yeah, I mean, maybe I'll just kind of speak to how we are organized ourselves around providing AI capabilities and services and
For
solutions.
sure.
So, as you alluded to, like you kind of need to do a little bit of pre-research to know which tool is going to specifically address your use case or your requirements. And here at Locana, we've developed a AI service center. And part of the mission of that service center is to do kind of pre-R&D on different, what we call them generic use cases. So they're not
Mhm.
specifically tuned to a customer's use case in particular, but we've developed them to a point where we can like compare different models that could be, appropriate for the same task, but it gives us an ability to like compare and contrast how well they perform with specific kind of domains of data. So if we are looking to, I use the example of like being able to pull out kind of valves and elbows and
Yes.
meters and things like in an infrastructure context, we can like look at 5 different entity types that we want to extract from imagery, and then we can test like 5 different computer vision models, and we can figure out in advance of like actually working with a customer, like which one we think is going to be the best one to bring to the solution. So that's the kind of level of kind of pre-work that we're doing on behalf of our customers, because it helps us, design the right solution and write the right scope and,
Hmm.
ask
Hmm.
for the right budget to do the work. But it also gives us this great platform to do, as you know, like develop specific solutions that we can, take to, to several customers, which then gives us the economies of scale that we can offer to our customers and, reduce the cost of implementing AI. And as we hope to do is, every time we work with a customer and implement a solution, our models get better trained and our results get,
Yes.
get that much incrementally better. And then as we, kind of maintain these models, we can keep retraining them. We can monitor them for model drift or for, I mean, typically see hallucinations in predictive AI, but anyway, we can help kind of steward and curate all that kind of model fitness as it goes along. So, but I do think, yeah, I do think like, I mean, there's just tons of different, I mean, it's hard to like, we would date this podcast if I were to like say one specific model or one of the things. So I'll
That's a
just
good
say that,
point.
yeah, every day there's something new that is like somebody,
Yes.
posts on Slack and we got to go run around and check out. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a fascinating point, and it actually touches on one of the first things that I mentioned, which was again from one of your articles about just the pace at which this technology is growing. And so I think what you're describing there is a brilliant approach because and what that means for those who we get to work with and help them solve the problem is that like we're bringing that continuous knowledge, evolving knowledge with us when we have that partnership, which means that, we're looking at it again from that strategic vision. Yes, ultimately, we're always running towards specific use cases to help companies and really see that value, but it comes from the foundation of doing that data analysis, understanding how their information is going to change over time, making sure those pipelines are set up, making sure the right platforms being used, and then linking that all into the right machine learning tools. Especially, I loved your point too, Todd, about it's not always you pull in the data and then somewhere in the back end it's doing the processing. There's opportunities to do some of that processing in the field while the information is being captured, and therefore only pay attention to the stuff that's changed. So there's so many different consideration points with this technology, and because the tools are evolving so fast, we have to keep that strategic vision, keep that breadth of understanding so that ultimately we can work with with each partner individually to know their business challenges, their unique structures to data, where they want to go in the future, and then align the AI strategy for their business with that trajectory of where they want to go. Do you think that kind of summarized it pretty well?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think, I'll just say that like, because the media's fascination with AI, like we were kind of in this overheated hype environment
Yeah,
where,
that's true.
AI is going to do everything
Yeah.
positive and everything negative, and it's the ubiquity of AI in our daily life. It's got to calm down at some point. But what we want to help our customers avoid is like chasing squirrels or chasing shiny
Yeah,
things, because
exactly.
we really, and it's just like any other technology, it needs to mature. We need to like see the the leaders, stumble and learn from them. And what I like to say, what we like to do is we stand on the leading edge, kind of monitoring the bleeding edge, and kind of know like when the right time is to kind of help our customers into a new technology or into a new AI model or so forth. So I get, one of the things that I guess I will mention, it's not a particular technology per se, but one pattern that we think has incredible promise to responsibly unleash generative AI in a customer's enterprise is this, and it's super geeky term, but it's called the RAG pattern, the retrieval augmented generative, which
A
it's a
mouthful,
way to,
right?
yeah, it's a way to relay a customer's data kind of through a large language model, or actually their data doesn't go through the large language model, but we have this kind of arm's length to the large language model, so that a customer's data stays within its enterprise, protected, secure, not compromised in terms of privacy. Um, but we can use the generative uh, benefits of the large language model to do natural language processing, to take natural language and convert it to SQL statements that we can then inject or send into the customer's data. So there's this really cool pattern that allows us to like unleash the power of generative AI without exposing customers' data or compromising the security of what's critical to operating their business, either from a competitive standpoint or just from a public fiduciary kind of perspective. So yeah, anyway.
Yeah, and I think I know that's a obviously huge concern for a number of our asset intensive customers that we serve, is really preserving that security. Also because a lot of times they can't move everything to the cloud for security reasons. Sometimes there are parts of their architecture, their system, that have to remain on-prem. And so being able to weave that together in a secure way using that natural language prompting is quite powerful. And one of the things that I got really energized recently, Todd, when we were working on a few things, was seeing a natural language prompt, and then the output was a geospatial image. It was a visual, right? And
Yeah.
to me, I mean, like again, having my early career in Esri and just getting such a passion for the next level of intelligence that you can get from seeing things spatially, understanding things spatially, it opens up a new world of really understanding your options, your risk, your possibilities. And so weaving natural language and those language learning models into the geospatial realm is, to me, it's a whole new world of possibility of what you can do with your data and this emerging technology. So
Yeah.
yeah, any final thoughts that you have here, Todd, before we wrap up?
Well, I'm gonna write a little bit more about the reg pattern in I don't know, a white paper or something coming soon. And the working title, I'm going to
Good.
trademark it right here, is "What if your maps could talk?" So anyway, we're super excited about this technology, and more to come from us for sure on it.
Todd, I am a huge fan of your naming skills and your headline writing skills. So I'm loving that one. I loved the one we kind of started off here of watch out, AI is coming from our most boring and exhaustive tasks. I think that sums it up just perfectly. And I'm really excited that of all the thought leadership you've been doing in this space and the articles and continued thought leadership that you will bring out to the world, and that you're bringing to our internal Locana teams to help just make this new trend a reality for our customers. There's so much power there and so much promise. And we look forward to engaging with anyone who wants to think about this from that strategic level. Okay, so thanks for your time today. Please, and thank you, Todd, for joining. Really appreciated all your insights. As always, I learned a lot here, as I always do from you. please do check out our resources page on locana.co to learn more. That's also where you can find some of Todd's thought leadership pieces. We also, Todd's been leading up a lot of thought around even cloud migrations and other emerging technologies. So our resources page is a great place to explore that. And you can also find us anytime on LinkedIn. Thanks so much for your time. Thanks for joining.